What is up, everybody? Good morning. It is Sunday. I think it's like 8 o'clock. And it's time for a little Bible study. Now, shout out to Black Rifle Coffee Company. This mug is solid. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna try to keep this video super condensed, but I gotta talk about my coffee first. Beautiful logo. Black Rifle Coffee Company. This mug is solid. It's my favorite mug. Anyways, I could talk about coffee all day. I'm a coffee nut. All right. So what I want to talk about today is dictators in the Bible and dictators now. I think it's really important that we talk about these things. We can kind of get lost in our blessings living here in America, in our freedoms that we never really think about what things could be like or what things are like in other places. So in Daniel, I came across Daniel, and I was blown away at the similarities that we have in today's world in like dictator countries such as North Korea. Dictatorship, I guess that's the term, in North Korea. And so I did a big study on North Korea and what it's like to be a Christian, and it's not pretty. But I will get to that after I preface it with a little bit of Daniel. Now, so you have this new king, Nebuchadnezzar, and he appoints these wise men, these four wise men, so to speak. They're very smart, very wise. They're able to interpret dreams, and the king sees it as something that could improve his kingdom, and he can use them to his advantage. And those names are Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. And King Nebuchadnezzar basically changes their names, and I guess for good reason. Well, in his eyes, good reason. Hananiah in Hebrew means Yahweh is gracious. Now I'm going to tell you, Nebuchadnezzar was not kind to Christians. They served pagan gods, they served Babylonian gods, and anything that was different, they executed them. And that's how this has to do with North Korea. Now, Hananiah means Yahweh is gracious in Hebrew. Changed it to Shadrach. Shadrach is command of Aku in Akkadian. Aku is the name of the Babylonian god of the moon. Now that's super important. Babylonian god of the moon. You see, sometimes we don't see these little subliminal messages that we have in our everyday TV. And I'm going to give you an example. Okay, The Lion King. Do you remember the Lion King scene where you have, this all ties into dictatorship, the Bible, everything. Trust me. So you remember the scene where he's like, be prepared, Scar, right? He's sitting there poised over his army, and they're all goose stepping, right? Like this. That's Nazi symbolism. If you look at Adolf Hitler and the army that he was in control of, that's exactly how they stepped. And it basically means we are one. So anybody that's in the army is there's no single freedom. There's no individuality. We are all one under the dictator. And that's why he's poised up high, right? He's poised up high and says, be prepared. He says, stay with me and you'll never go hungry again, right? He plays into their weaknesses and their trials and tribulations and gives them hope through him, but in a dark way. And how do I know it's a dark way? Well, we all know. You see Scar, he killed his own brother. And that is kind of, man, I could really go down the rabbit hole on this, but I'm gonna stop it at this statement. Scar kills Mufasa with the same hatred that Cain killed Abel. Now I'm gonna stop right there because I could go fully into it, and this video is gonna be 15 minutes long. But let me tie this up. So it says, Babylonian god of the moon. At the end of the video of where Scar is telling, stick with me and you'll never go hungry again, he's poised up on top of this mountain, right? And behind him is the crescent moon. Now, the crescent moon is symbolism of pagan worship, darkness. And that's where all that comes from. It's all at nighttime. It's indicative of pagan symbolism and worship. So that's why he changed his name from Hananiah to Shadrach, to give homage to the Babylonian god of the moon, right? So then you have Mishael, which means who is like God in Hebrew. He changed that name, Nebuchadnezzar, he changed that name to Meshach. What does Meshach mean? Who is what Aku is. I think that's how you say it, A-K-U. I could be wrong. But who is what Aku is. And it's funny because Mishael means who is like God is. Meshach is who is what Aku is. So you have a who versus a what. A person, a being versus an object. Idols, idol worship. All right, so then we move on to Azariah, which means Yahweh has helped in Hebrew. That was changed to Abednego. Servant of Nebo in Akkadian, and Nebo is the Babylonian god of wisdom. Another Babylonian god, right? So we have Daniel 1:6 to preface this whole thing. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah were 4 young men chosen, all from the tribe of Judah. The chief of staff renamed them with these Babylonian names. Daniel was called Belteshazzar. I probably butchered that one. Hananiah was called Shadrach. Mishael was called Meshach. And Azariah was called Abednego. Right? So you have this king, and he's trying to take over the land. He's renaming these appointed gentlemen so that, when they're in his kingdom and under his rule and part of his staff, because he played on their strengths. They're very wise. They're very smart. They can interpret dreams. So he appoints them for their strengths, but he doesn't like their names because of what they mean. So he changes them. Now I'm gonna fast forward. Nebuchadnezzar sets up this gold statue. And I'm like, gold statue? I've seen this before. Revelation. That's where it hit me. Revelation 13:15. I know I'm jumping like a rabbit. Forgive me, but all this ties in. We're going to get back to Dictators and all that right after this. So 13:15. He ordered the people to make a great statue of the first beast who was fatally wounded and then came back to life. He was then permitted to give life to this statue so that it could speak. This is the kicker. Then the statue of the beast commanded that anyone refusing to worship it must die. And why is this important? Because this is exactly what Nebuchadnezzar said, if you don't worship my gold statue. He said that, let's see. All right, right here. So bow down to the ground to worship King Nebuchadnezzar. I'm reading Daniel 3:5 here. Bow down to the ground to worship King Nebuchadnezzar's gold statue. If anyone refuses to obey, will immediately be thrown into the blazing furnace. So you have basically a dictatorship that's saying, if you don't worship the gods that I worship, that I pay homage to, then you're slaughtered and you're killed. How does that tie into North Korea? This is exactly what is happening in North Korea. I did a study, and I titled it North Korea and God. So I'm going to give you a little bit of just what people go through. And I don't know why this isn't talked about. I don't know why nobody says anything. We're too caught up with little arguments here and there of who said what and what it made us feel like these are real problems. So North Korea, currently there are 70,000 Christian prisoners alone in concentration camps simply for their faith. If you are caught with a Bible, you are subject to life in prison or death as execution. And they do public executions there. Children are taught from an early age that there is no God, and to have any concept of any religion, you are executed. If people become Christian or are caught with a Bible, they will be executed. Now, from the 1940s to the 1950s, North Korea was a strong Christian nation. Over 300,000 Christians, 2,875 churches, and 700 pastors. At the end of World War II, everything changed. Now, I'm going to probably butcher these names, so forgive me. Kim Sung took over and abolished religion on a massive scale. So something happened in World War II, personally with him, that it made him blame God for everything. And that's exactly what happened to Hitler. When Hitler was in the war, he had a tough time of the war. He was with his squad. He went off. People think, he may have went to use the bathroom or something like that. And he came back and all of his buddies were blown up from a mortar attack. And so when he came out of the war, he felt entitled. He felt special. He felt, but he felt slighted. He couldn't get into the Viennese School of Arts, so he took failure after failure after failure, and he took it personally. And he blamed God, and he blamed the existence of people that serve God. That's why you have a lot of any religion. You have a lot of gypsies that were killed. You have a lot of Christians that were killed. And so it seems like this is the same thing that happened to Kim Sung. Something happened in the war. Something happened in his mental that changed everything. It changed his perspective on everything. And so as a result, religion was outlawed. I'm hitting 12 minutes already. Can't get all this in. North Koreans have no concept of life after death, and they never heard of Jesus. The Holy Trinity in North Korea. This is crazy. This is something that blew my mind. The Holy Trinity in North Korea, taught from birth, is the Juk Trinity. Kim Sung, his mother Kim Jong Suk, and son Kim Jong. So they have the three, and they borrowed that philosophy from Christianity, basically, because you have, as far as Christians, we believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Well, they took that three and they appointed it to three dictators, three people, which is kind of funny because they died. Three people of the flesh that died, and it's mandatory that you serve them. And in fact, it's mandatory that you have pictures up on the wall by your dinner table in North Korea to pay homage to these people, these dictators, over your food. It's really weird, really crazy. Children are taught to give thanks to Kim Sung and Kim Jong for their food. Mandatory photos on the walls to remember who to give thanks to. So, report of a Bible smuggler. A woman is bringing Bibles to her village town despite warnings from people about the dangers. She persisted anyways, and kids found a Bible. Word got out, and she was never seen again. Saying you are Christian results in immediate death, according to North Korean refugees that were spoken to. Hwang Jung Yop, former confidant of Kim Sung, if someone wanted to attend church or declared allegiance to it, he would be shot within minutes. Kim Jong-un orders 33 people to be executed because they made contact with a Christian missionary. And this was a public execution. This is like the Colosseum. Public execution. Kim Jong-un's uncle, Jang Song-taek, was sentenced to death by firing squad for trying to overthrow the communist government. Not only Jung executed, but also his children, his brothers, his grandchildren, the total number in the dozens. In 2013, there were 40 to 80 public mass executions in North Korea. This is what we're dealing with. This is exactly what we're dealing with Nebuchadnezzar. Bow down to the ground to worship King Nebuchadnezzar's gold statue. Anyone who refuses to obey it will immediately be thrown into the fiery furnace. That's some heavy stuff. We're going to get back into it. I'm sorry, I'm at 15 minutes. We're going to get back into it for part 2 on the next video.